Hey Mario, hope you're doing well. I just want to kind of get right into taking a look at your swing here, and based on the information that you've given me as it relates to your misses, which is a deflected draw or an overdraw. Um, First of all, I want to say I can definitely see Mike and Andy's fingerprints on your golf swing here, as you do a lot of these pieces extremely well. There's a lot that I really like about your golf swing, and hopefully I'm able to help you with just a few pieces that I think can help you fix your ball flight. First thing I want you to notice is I'm doing a little bit of a comparison here with Charlie Wee on a couple of really basic principles here of stack and tilt. I've drawn a line right there on the butt of the club, a vertical line, just sort of indicating the handle position. I've drawn a sort of a box at the top of your head, showing sort of the head on the wall and also the top of your head there. And I've also just drawn a red line for indicating your spine angle. What I've noticed as I look at your golf swing, there's a couple of things that are happening, and they both kind of relate to each other. So as you know, the principles of stack and tilt can kind of be summed up in 10 keywords. Those keywords are weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, straight arms, tuck tailbone, or tuck hips. And you do some of those things extremely well, but you struggle a little bit at the beginning. So as it relates to shoulder down, hands in, that is probably the most important part. I would say one of the most important parts of this pattern, because this pattern is based on a stable axis golf swing. And what that means is that not only do we have a stable axis, but we also have stable inclination. And those two things are absolutely critical when it comes to hitting the ground in the same spot every single time. You struggle a little bit in your takeaway with the hands in part and the shoulder down part. Your shoulders are turning extremely flat to the ground. So as we take a look at your swing here, the first thing I want you to make note of is the handle position. Look at where the butt of the club is, and as I move the club away, watch how the butt of the club moves out, away from that line, and your arms start to roll inward. Okay? That motion shouldn't happen. The butt of the club should move directly inward on the backswing. And that's because the left shoulder is working more on a downward trajectory in the backswing. Your shoulders are turning extremely flat. So here I'll take you. You can again see your hand path on the way back. If we stop you at P2 and the shaft is parallel to the ground, you can see that your hands really haven't moved. Your left arm hasn't really moved inward at all as it relates to your stance line. But Charlie Wee on the right here, notice the butt of the club, hands are moving immediately inward. When his club reaches parallel to the ground, hands are much more in, shoulders have turned much more, left shoulder has worked way down, down much more than yours. This is probably the biggest issue that I see with your swing, this really flat shoulder turn. You make a decent recovery attempt as you go ahead and continue to the top of the backswing of getting the hands in, but the problem is we no longer have stable inclination. Take a look at your spine angle now as it relates to the red line that was originally there. Also, take a look at the box. Your head has had to lift and raise because your forward tilt at address has not been replaced with a leftward tilt. The leftward tilt, as the shoulders turn and the spine extends, is what keeps the head from raising up. And because you've turned the shoulders very flat to the ground, your head has popped up. Okay? And since we turn so flat in the backswing, if we turn back flat in the downswing, we probably wouldn't even make contact with the ball. So your compensatory action here is to get very steep with the shoulder turn on the way down in order to deliver the club from a somewhat inside path. Okay? That's the first issue that I want to address with you there. I want you, if you take a look at the right here, I want you getting your shoulders turning on a much steeper trajectory here. If you take a look at Charlie Wee here on the right, Let me get you back to that position. So here you are at the top of the backswing, and again, just kind of drawing a line on your shoulders here, you can see that your shoulders are not turning perpendicular to your spine. Here Charlie is at the top, and you can see his shoulders have clearly turned perpendicular to his spine. So you're missing the second two key words after weight forward, shoulder down. So I want you to practice and focus on moving into a leftward tilt as you start the club away. Remember, the spine it left tilts, turns, and extends. And those three things have to be done incrementally. If we do one of those things faster than the other, the axis is not stable. If we turn faster than we left tilt and extend, the axis translates back. The weight moves to the low point, moves back toward the trail leg. If we left tilt faster than we turn and extend, well, then our head moves toward the target. So you can see where I'm going with this. Those three things have to be done incrementally in order for that upper axis to remain stable and for our low point to not be. Mario, the next thing I want to address with you is where these overdraws and these hooks are coming from. And it's directly related to the rate of closure of your club face. If you take a look here on the left, and just kind of let me remove all these lines, as you come down and through the ball, you see the strike, and then your exit here on the left. I want you to notice something. As I take a look at your exit, I want you to look at this club face. You can see that the club face has completely rolled over. It's now pointing almost down to the ground. This is where the overdraws are coming from. Well, and the reason that the club is turning over like this is because you are not extending your spine in the follow-through. And what I mean by that is, if you remember the last two key words, and if we take a look at the video on the right, again, walking you through those key words: weight forward, shoulder down. Shoulder down would be here. Hands in, moving inward on the concentric arc. Weight forward, shoulder down, hands in, straight arms would get you to the top of the backswing. Okay? We'd have a little bit of bend in that left arm radius also. That's a little bit, I'm going to nitpick that because we're talking about striking the ground with precision here, and that's going to be very, very difficult to do with the left arm radius bending this much. It's going to bring some club face issues into play. It's going to also compromise our low point. So that left arm has got to remain straighter. But here's the thing: that's going to be easier to do. You're going to be able to keep your left arm straighter once you learn to extend your spine a little bit more in the backswing and turn your shoulders on a little bit steeper trajectory on the backswing. Okay? Now, back to the club face issue. When you come through impact, you're not in a bad impact position at all. You got your hips forward, arms are relatively straight, but from right here, the last two key words are tuck hips. And what that means is that you feel your belt line raising as it turns and points to the target. Your hips are tucked underneath you. Your spine is fully extended again. But this is where you're missing it. There's no extension in the spine. You just sort of turn with your upper body, and you can see how your knees are just sort of lagging and buckling instead of straightening and extending, and you're also losing your forward tilt. If I put you lose your forward tilt very, very quickly. Your forward tilt doesn't turn into a rightward tilt. You just kind of stand up and pop up out of your spine angle, out of your inclination. Okay? Extending those hips and keeping those arms straight into the follow-through is going to allow your club face to stay more square to the arc that it's traveling on, instead of having sort of that violent rolling over type of release action. that we see over here on the left. Okay? That's where some of the overdraws are coming. So Mario, here's what I want you to work on. Here's a couple of drills for you to do. The first thing that we've got to get you feeling is how to go shoulder down, hands in the backswing. So I want to talk a little bit about the left shoulder trajectory. I want you to feel as though that shoulder, if you look at Charlie Wee on the left, that shoulder is traveling downward and then back and underneath your chin, and that our head is not raising up or popping up. So I just want you to rehearse. Shoulder down, hands in. Shoulder down, hands in. Over and over. Really feeling like the weight is staying forward, the spine is extending, and what we should see with your upper back here is that we should see a very, very straight line. At the top of your backswing, if the spine is extended, should be kind of vertical right here. Right now you have a little bit of an angle going up your back, sort of like this, because we're not into extension, but that we should see pretty much a straight line up there. So that's one thing that you can look for. The other thing I want you to do is if you look over here on the right, and I'm just using Charlie as a demonstration here, I want you to address a golf ball, and then I want you to lay an alignment rod out here on the ground, parallel to your target line, about, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10 to 12 inches outside of your golf ball to the right. And then I want you to take another alignment rod and sort of, you don't need a golf club for this, sort of hold it across the tops of your shoulders, and as you turn your shoulders away from the target, I want that alignment rod, I want you to feel like you're pointing that alignment rod at this yellow stick or your alignment rod that's on the ground. So that'll be a visual cue for you to make sure that you're turning your left shoulder down enough and on a steep enough trajectory. If we can get the left shoulder working down, the hands will move in easier, and you will also get into extension and left tilt easier. So that it kind of solves all the problems there for us. Mario, I don't have too much more to add as it relates to the driver swing. This swing is no different. The driver swing is the same as a 6-iron. The only thing that happens is that we left tilt, turn, and extend longer with this club. There are a few slight setup changes that we make with this club in terms of ball position and axis tilt, but your setup looks pretty solid. The only thing I can't really tell, and I'm not sure if it's the camera angle or not, but your ball position to me seems a little bit back of where I'd like to see it. I want us to hit the ball the highest and the furthest. Therefore, I'd like to see the driver ball position move slightly forward a little bit, up off of that left toe or just inside that left instep. It seems as though your ball position is slightly back a little bit. But you do a lot of things really, really well with your driver, and I love the handle location and the forward shaft lean at impact. It looks really, really good. But again, the critical components here are, number one, this backswing is killing you. This is sort of just a flat, really flat shoulder turn. You see how far behind your hands are from your shoulder? That's just an indication that the left shoulder has had no downward trajectory at all. At the top of the backswing, the left arm should basically match or mirror the shoulder plane. And what I mean by that is if the shoulder plane is here, well, then that left arm should be here. So you can see by steepening that shoulder turn, we'll be able to get the arms orbiting the body a little bit better. But again, those overdraws, those hooks, it's a byproduct of no extension into the follow-through, body rotation stops, and then the club head just flips. I mean, this club face right now is absolutely pointing down at the ground almost. That rate of closure is sky high. And so you can see the extension piece here on the left. You can just kind of see how right here the hips stop extending at this point, and then they just rotate. And what we need to see is the belt level to keep raising and extending. The spine keeps raising and extending. Mario, here on the right is an example of the hip action I'm looking for with that driver. You can see Charlie here really gets into his left tilt, turns and extends to the top. The hips push forward. The belt level is raising. You see how the belt level is raising through impact as he gets into extension. It just continues to move forward. And he's still in his tilts. Whereas you're flattened out. You can see he's got a nice curvature there to sort of his chest, his belly, down to his hips. It's curved because that tells you that the hips is the last two key words, tuck hips. They're tucked up underneath him. Whereas you're standing very erect and upright, your spine is not extending. In closing, Mario, here's a drill I want you to do with your 6 or 7 iron to work on the extension piece. And I've got it here on the left, and you can see that this player is kind of starting from this squatting position. It's a static starting position here, kind of left arm parallel to the ground. And as I roll this forward, you're going to see him sort of press into his left knee. Club starts to drop. Lower body starts to release its flexion into impact. Spine extending. Holding your finish right there. So again, we're starting from about right here. If you want to make a backswing, that's fine. This is just to abbreviate the practice and to really isolate the piece of feeling like, okay, I'm already here at P5. I'm going to start, press into the left leg, release the flexion in my lower body, and extend my spine. And you can see that the hips are clearly tucked, tucked up underneath him. So that's a drill I want you to do to sort of isolate that piece and get those arms extended and that spine extended into the follow through. That's going to help with those club face rate of closure issues. Anyways, buddy, I hope this helped. I know it's a little bit long, but our first one will kind of be this way. Look forward to your progress in your next set of videos.